Father, I don't know if the peoples are ready today, because we're diving deep. We're going inward. We're getting introspective through the lens of Grey's Anatomy. I don't know if they're ready. Prepare them. Amen. Amen. What's up? What's up? What's up, beautiful people? How are you guys doing? How is the quarantine treating you guys? I be knowing it's difficult. These are tough times. Never thought we'd see these days come, but they are here. And we just gotta keep our heads up. It's not gonna last forever. It will not last forever. I'm sending virtual hugs to everyone. Just the virtual hugs if you need a hug today. And I really do hope you guys are doing okay. And yeah, we gonna get through this. Okay, so you guys, I've named this segment Introspective Session because we're going with it. We're going inwards. I don't know if you hear the dog barking. We are going inwards, okay? Before we start the session, let me just dive into why I wanted to do a segment called this. So the first reason is your girl is a psychologist. So I am team mental health, team get your inner world together, team figure out yourself. I am all those teams. And I also think that sometimes people our people sometimes, they don't want people in their business, so they won't go to therapy. So it's like, I'm not trying to tell nobody my business. It's intrusive. I don't want to do none of that. It's expensive. Therapy being expensive. They rather not necessarily suffer in silence, but rather not say anything than be vulnerable, because I don't know, some people may think I'm weak. Whatever the reason may be, people don't go to therapy, or people aren't invested. Let's say that people are generally not invested in their mental health, and it's not a norm to invest in your mental health. So I always like to come up with creative ways to make sure that your inner world is healthy. So as I've been watching series, as an avid series lover, I found that I was learning some really deep things through the storylines. You see these stories be teaching me that maybe I'm in a toxic relationship, or maybe I shouldn't be so narcissistic because the world doesn't revolve around me. These stories be teaching me all sorts of things, and I realized, hey, now this is actually a form of therapy. Now, don't get me wrong. There are professionals out there. Very important to go get therapy from a professional psychologist, psychiatrist. But if you're not there yet, if that's not your space, series is definitely a tool that you can use to just gain a little bit of insight into how you function, or how you're going about a situation through other characters. And I'm pretty certain there's always something to learn in whatever series you watch, whether it's a comedy, whether it's drama, whether it's horror, always something to learn. So I'm gonna dive into one of the things that I've learned in Grey's Anatomy. Okay, so jumping back into my introspective session, in terms of Grey's Anatomy, we're gonna focus on Meridith Grey and her backstory. Okay, let's dive in. So with Meridith, we find Gucci season 3. We see Meredith in the episode where she drowns, and then she's like quarter to dying. Actually, not even 5 to dying. Like, whoa, Miguel gave up on life. And I just thought to myself, what is it that got her to that point where she felt like, you know what, this life ain't worth it. I don't want to live no more. And then I thought to myself, you know, usually there's a build up to these things. There's a build up to why a person just can't deal with life no more. So let's dive into her childhood. And by the way, y'all should deal with your childhood traumas. Childhood traumas are real. Deal with that. Okay. The first thing being that her father left. Her mother, we find out in her therapy sessions after she goes to therapy that her mother tried to kill herself. Not really, but she tried to kill herself by slitting her wrist. And then on top of her mother slitting her wrist, she was very dismissive of Meridith. She expected the most. She expected perfection. Or at least that's how Meridith perceived it. So it seemed like she was inattentive. Her mother was inattentive towards her. Mind you, we also need to understand that Meridith's parents were also going through their rough situations that led them to the decisions that they made that affected Meridith. So Thatcher is over here. He ain't for the cheating. His wife is frolicking with Weber, so he's like, I'm not here for this. Deuces. And perhaps maybe he just didn't want to have to deal with Meridith because it reminded him of his mother, of his wife, and we don't know what the real reason is. And then Meridith Grey here is dealing with rejection, being in a marriage where she doesn't feel fulfilled, and then having this full-blown relationship with a man who she thinks will give up everything, but he ain't about to leave his wife. Ain't that a whole word? They don't leave their wives. So it's also imperative or important to understand that, you know, Meredith's parents are also going through a lot, and that in turn affected her as well. Yeah, her parents, they were Goishan. What does Goishan mean in English? Guys, I don't know. Sometimes words in vernac they don't translate to English, so just rough on the streets, hectic. So now, considering that Meridith has this background of childhood trauma, the way that we see her now, we see her as this person who doesn't really engage with her emotions. She keeps everything bottled up, and she has to interact with Richard the whole time when she knows Richard is a trigger. And she just keeps everything bottled up to the point where now everything explodes. And I think it exploded in that episode where she just gave up on life. And I also think that that's such a lesson, how it is not good for you to just bottle everything up, and not deal with your emotions and not invest in being emotionally well. If we look at Meredith's situation, she acted strong. She acted like she didn't care. She acted like she could handle it. On top of that, entering into a relationship with Derek, who had zero regard for her abandonment issues. Although, I wonder if Derek know about Meredith's history. I don't know, but I think sometimes we can enter into relationships where people who we're partnered with are also triggers, because Derek just had zero time of day for Meredith's abandonment issues, lack of commitment issues. He just didn't get. And then he added fuel to the flame. Is that the saying? He added fuel to the flame by this back and forth, man. Choosing Addison, but he's sniffing Meredith in the elevator. Blah, blah, blah. I hate Derek, guys. Anyway, so I think that all of these things, Meredith being strong. Any strong people in the building? Strong? Ma'am? Sir? Her being strong culminated to this burst of, yeah, I can't do it no more, so I am out. Bye. Being strong then causes you not to deal with your problems, not to deal with emotions. Then what ends up happening is you grow up. In some instances, then people get married and they have kids. And now guess what? You're passing on those traumas to those people. Look at the situation of Ellis and Thatcher. We don't know how their parents acted, but I'm pretty sure that had a ripple effect. And now what must happen? You pass these generational traumas, these generational hurts, because you didn't invest in healing yourself. That's gotta stop. We need to heal ourselves so that the next generation, if people want the next generation, can benefit from just being whole and being honest with yourself, really. Do you see how deep that got? Yes, these introspection these introspection sessions, got it, will not always be this deep, but Grey's Anatomy is deep and required us to go there. But yeah, I really do love that. I learned that from Grey's Anatomy. I learned that I don't always have to be strong, and that being strong is actually a form of a defense mechanism, because you're like, I can handle that, I can do all the things that I want to do, and I'm okay, and nothing's gonna hurt me. I'm invisible to mental dysfunction, or I'm invisible to depression or anxiety. Or get your laugh, get your emotions, feel the feels, deal the deals, do the damn things that need to be done, so that we're just whole people, and therefore we can contribute meaningfully to society. And that if we have kids, our kids can grow up in mentally wholesome ways. That's what we're doing in 2020. And I think that this quarantine gives us the time to get to know ourselves. So take the time to get to know yourself in this quarantine. Just do it. And I do think it's worthwhile committing time and energy to make sure that mentally you are well, because dysfunction ain't cute, boo. It is not. Anyway, guys, we got deep enough for this episode. Anyway, guys, let me know if there's anything that you've learned from season 1 to 5. If there's any revelations that you've had due to Grey's Anatomy, if it's helped you along this journey of life in any way possible, so that we can let Shonda know and her team that they're doing a great job for mental health. Don't forget, subscribe, like, comment, do all those things, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.